Today we've got Joe from Lightworker with us, and Joe, you're a good friend of the podcast. I think this is your like third or fourth time on the show, which is exciting. But we're not here to just hang out with Joe for no reason at all. But there's a big reason why you're on the podcast, and that's because Lightworker is releasing your first album in like for how many years? Like what, 3 years now? Something like that. It's been way too long.
Yeah, almost 3.5 years.
It's way too long. But
Yeah.
yeah, you guys got a new album coming out called How the Beautiful Decay, and it's going to be out in April with Solid State Records. You guys doing your first one was with Solid State too, right?
Correct.
Heck yeah! So you got your second Solid State album, which is exciting. So we're gonna dive into all the things with the new album. But before we get into that, how you doing today, Joe?
Uh Hanging in there. No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm good, man. I've been looking forward to hanging out with you guys. I've been looking forward to sharing new music with people. And I know you guys have heard the songs, or at least a handful of songs. So I'm actually very curious as to what you guys think, because I haven't really gotten your opinions yet. So yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna get into that for sure.
I
I,
just roast me the whole time I'm on.
Cullen,
not gonna
Cullen is
roast
as
you.
ruthless as a Pitchfork rating reviewer.
Yes.
oh man, if only I could be that pretentious though.
I know. I knew I know a guy who did write for Pitchfork, and I was like, that kind of tracks. So yeah.
Oh, okay. Do explain, please.
No, just a dude. He's a nice guy, but he's definitely, he's
Only drinks IPAs and top shelf whiskey is what you're saying?
oh yeah, like, and just you could just very 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 sweet guy, but
Has he
definitely
ever laughed in his life? Have you ever heard him laugh?
you know he's like a pandemic friend, so like from online, because
Okay.
he likes Caspian like me. So
Mm,
so which, I mean, I guess that kind of is going into a little bit of that territory, a little bit, if you will, post
Right.
rock and that stuff. But no, he's very sweet, and but definitely has his opinions. So
hey,
One
it
of
makes
the
sense. You probably should be a reviewer then.
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
you guys know Pace Magazine, right?
Yeah, of course.
So one of their founders frequently trolls me on Twitter. And like to a point where I don't think he's like just simply goofing around. I think he actually really doesn't like me. And and so he's like constantly trolling me on Twitter, and I will like whenever he like does or whatever, I always like say something about like how much better Pitchfork is in return, just
Mhm.
because I'm like, I'm not gonna take your shit, dude. So I'm gonna dish it right back. But he
Love it.
always gives me ratings. He'll like, oh, this tweet was only like a 3 out of 10 or something, Mason. And I was like, well, that's better than what Pitchfork would have given me or whatever.
And that's funny because, like, if he's coming after you, the king of the trolls, this guy's got some balls.
I know. So, well, should we
Telling
talk
me,
about new
telling me you should
music?
do a score. Oh yeah, let's do new music. Let's do new music.
All right, sure. What do you guys want to know?
Well,
So
how did go
I
ahead.
heard that the album was named this because of my teeth.
Yeah, yeah,
Is that true?
absolutely. It's 100% true.
Okay.
That's why I asked you to send me that photo. I needed inspiration, and geez, we were able to write 10 songs based
About
off
my
of
teeth.
yeah, because I mean, like, one for each tooth that I saw, dude.
Dude,
So
that's impressive. I don't know any artist in the entire world who's written 10 songs about one other man's teeth. I mean, that's an impressive thing to do.
well, isn't there that band called Mantooth or something like that?
Bear tooth, maybe. I don't know.
Oh,
I've
there's
never heard of man
Beartooth.
tooth. Yeah,
Oh no, maybe it's not Mantooth. Oh, or Sharptooth. No, that was
sharp
Amy
tooth.
Sharptooth.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
that makes sense. Hmm.
But yeah, no, it's called How the Beautiful Decay. It is 10 songs, and yeah, it's coming out in April.
Yeah, dude. Okay, so let's have Mason and I give our first impressions since we have heard, a couple songs. Mason, do you want to go first?
Yeah, well, first off, it feels very nostalgic to me. If it like that, whenever I hear any one of the songs, I'm just like, this brings me back to like like that kind of that mid to late 2000s metalcore, especially the stuff that you would have heard on Solid State. And obviously, Joe, I know like you grew up with a lot of that stuff, so it's like not really that surprising that I would hear that. I have
Mhm.
no idea if that was the intention to kind of get those types of guitar tones and that kind of songwriting or whatnot. But uh, it, it, and it's not as if like your last album didn't have didn't leave me with that kind of impression. It certainly, to a certain degree, did, but I don't know. It feels like it's more intense this album, where it's just like, whoa, that really reminds me of something like "Oh Sleeper" or August Burns Red back in the day, or even at times like some "He Is Legend" or something. Like there are just these moments of hearing that guitar tone, especially when it's moments where like you're not hearing the singing and screaming, it's just the guitars or just the drums, and you're like, that really brings me back to that particular tone. And I have no idea what that tone is. I'm not a music person at all, not a
Mhm.
gearhead at all, but there's something about the tones that I'm hearing and just the production of it that feels very, very similar and nostalgic to what I grew up with, and certainly you grew up with as well. So I think it's a compliment. I love that era, that like era of production, and especially in metalcore, and so I've longed for that to like come back, and so it's great to hear that again.
That's awesome, dude. Yeah. I I would say that sonically and whatnot, it was Bo Burchell who mixed the record, and he did do the latest or the newest He Is Legend record as well.
Mm.
Um, and when that came out, we were like, yes, like that shit kicks ass. So like we were like, it would be rad if like obviously we're a different kind of band than He Is Legend, but they're still like very metal, you know,
Hmm.
like
Yeah,
they've got riffs, dude.
totally.
And I love that the Endless Hallway record. So um so that's cool that you picked up on the He Is Legend, even if it wasn't necessarily like maybe their latest one, but um and yeah, all that stuff, I mean, yeah, we love it, and I think it's inevitably gonna come out of us, even if you know we tried to write something like a 1975 pop song. No matter what, like my voice or the way that Grayson plays guitar, it's just going to exude something from that era, because that's kind of where we grew, it's in our DNA.
Yeah.
So and if you're saying that it reminds you of that stuff, then I mean, yeah, it is a big compliment, and thank you.
Yeah. I have to 100% back up what Mason said. That was my initial first impression as well. You guys have always been a melodic band. Melody has always been one of you guys' strong suits. This album, the songs I've heard thus far, I should say, are like melodic hardcore or melodic metalcore, whatever you want to call it, on steroids, man. Like it's a carnival. Like I, I don't know what is even going on. Like it takes a moment for me to like actually like, take in each part, because it's a lot more complex than the last record, I would say. Not to mention that on top of that, it sounds like you guys have a lot more layers going on. There's a lot more. To me, it
Like
seems like there's a lot more
onions
thought process.
or
Yeah,
ogres.
like onions. Yeah, that's right. It's like there was a lot of thought put into like the transitions from section to section, and uh, I it's crazy though. Like just like Mason was saying, I get a very nostalgic feeling that I don't hear bands like this right now. Um, and I'm here for it right now, and I love it. I really do love it.
Thank you, guys. No, much appreciated. I guess for us, the way that we kind of approached it was, we knew we wanted this second record to be more aggressive than the first one. Um, there was definitely more to be angry about anyway. Um,
Mm,
so that ended up just like fitting in like a glove. And I think we also, the first album, we always viewed it as more of a compilation of what it was that we could offer, if that made sense. Like, it's like, oh, okay, yeah, we could do kind of like the more hard rock ballady kind of stuff, or we can, shred and or we can, have like these groovy, bouncy parts. But on this record, I think in particular, I just told Grayson before we even wrote a note for How the Beautiful Decay, which was titled that before the album. I mean, like even a song was written. Um, I just told him I was just like, I want to get heavier. I, you know, just it
Not
just
like musically, not physically, right?
well, physically too. I mean,
Okay.
Yeah,
I
why
mean,
not?
otherwise, how else do you? I mean, it doesn't translate
Got it.
otherwise.
That's
You know?
right.
Got a lot of weight to
I'm all
put
for
into
that.
that diaphragm.
Oh, absolutely. So, but yeah, no, I just wanted it to be, just more pissed off, and and I think on this record too, I wrote less musically, and really just focused on the vocals more. And so there were definitely some differences in terms of like that kind of execution, while still trying to, I guess, at the very least, have like some modern feel to it too. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So I'm definitely curious as to like what some folks are gonna think of the rest of the record. I think you guys have heard two songs, right?
I think we've only heard
Ye-
one technically,
Oh,
but
yeah.
it was a very good one.
No.
What was the name of that one, by the way? The one you sent us? Do you remember?
Oh yeah, that one. That was Burn Scar, which is going to be our second
Burn Scar.
single.
Hmm.
So I figured I'd just give you guys a little taste of that, because I felt like it. I don't know. I mean, uh, it just kind of gives a little bit more of a fuller look at, I guess, as to what the record's going to be bringing to the table. So, but yeah.
It is interesting, where it feels like right now a lot of metalcore is kind of like going towards this sort of new metal vibe. You kind of got, which I really like. You hear that a little bit with like Silent Planet. There's kind of this really weird experimental stuff that they're kind of messing around with, and there's countless other kind of metalcore bands that are doing kind of, I find interesting stuff. But what I think a lot of those bands are moving away from is that exact same tone that we were talking about
Hmm.
from like the early to mid 2000s, late 2000s, and you don't really hear that particular kind of guitar tone or songwriting anymore. And so I really appreciate that you guys are kind of going away from some of those trends that you see a lot of other metalcore bands are going down right now, and you're kind of doing your own thing, which I think sounds really fresh.
Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. Because I don't think any of us really like new metal, to be honest. I mean, it's not like it's a bad thing. I mean, there's a couple of bands that, like, sure, I'll, like jam like old POD, or once in a while I'll throw, some other stuff on. But like the stuff that I really dig is just more of the, I guess, kind of that Swedish at the gates influence stuff, like
Mm.
that's kind of more, and that's kind of what metalcore largely derives from, right? So,
Yeah.
um, and just like I was telling you guys last night, like I just love riffs, and so I think, and we're not the kind of band that I think would want to necessarily chase trends or whatnot. We're just going to want to write what we like, and we don't care about it also being necessarily like, oh, we're on the cutting edge of anything. It's like, if we like it, we like it, so we're gonna write it. You know what I mean?
Mm.
So we're not trying to necessarily break any barriers. We're just trying to do what is fun on stage, and and what we want to hear. And I think, not I think, I know that's just how we're just always going to be moving forward. So
Mhm.
and hopefully, I probably a little bit more of an intense direction too.
Yeah.
I've already told Grayson, I was just like, hey, I think we're kind of working our way towards having songs with no melodic vocals at all. Um, and that's like a very big goal for me personally, where I just want to be pissed the whole time. So
Yeah, and from what I could tell, it seemed like Burn Scar. It seemed like it was almost written, in a pro Republican kind of sense. I mean, anti-Biden everything. I mean, I can see where your anger was coming from.
oh yeah, definitely.
Megacore.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you were referencing the fires in Hawaii, right? I mean,
yes.
that's what Burn Scar is all about.
Yeah. No, yeah. Jeez. Yeah. I don't know where to go from there.
What are you angry about? What are you angry about? I'm glad you're angry because I love anger. We need more anger in this scene.
The first single is called "Steal the Election," right?
Yeah, absolutely. And then and I bought those new January 6s, those.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I did see those.
Yeah. The I think they wanted like 4K for it or something like that.
Well, you even bought the domain name January 6. I don't know.
Oh, dude, I'm gonna name that's gonna be my kid's middle name. It's just January
J6.
Yeah, J6.
J6.
J6. Yeah, exactly.
Honestly, that's the kind of names I would imagine kids are being named now. JAYSX.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But in regard to the two songs that have been out, so like First Light, that was the first single that you guys have probably seen the video for.
Yes,
we're in that green room thingy. That one is about like just me dealing with some major suicidal thoughts on Easter 2022, and yeah, that was not a good day. That was not a fun day. And I quite literally wrote the lyrics and the melodies to that song as I was feeling that, and it was just really just an emotional purge, and I really credit that process to helping me stave off those kind of feelings and whatnot. And then in terms of Burn Scar, so this is where I was like, okay, I'm just gonna have to suck it up and talk about it. But it's quite the opposite of in all seriousness, it's quite the opposite of the MAGA stuff. It's saying like, I mean, there's a lyric in there. I'm not sure if you guys heard it, but it says hypocrisy in the shape of a cross. And it's kind of like my anger towards a lot of people that claim Christianity and just in my opinion, are using, I guess, the Lord's name in vain, because you're doing atrocious things in the name of God, whether that's being okay with people getting killed just because they're different than you, or just being okay with like some just atrocious things, and I, as a person that still does identify as a Christian, I'm just kind of like, this is bullshit. And I'm not going to I'm not going to stand by and just be quiet about it. And Burn Scar for me is just, it's also like, hey, all the things, it's about basically self-fulfilling prophecies that I think a lot of Christians kind of do and bring to the table, where it's just kind of like, hey, you talk about freedoms and all this stuff, but you have no problem like taking away the freedoms of other people. And basically a lot of stuff that Mason tweets about, like, where I'm just kind of like, yeah, dude, I completely agree. And I honestly, I give you so much props for that.
Did one of my tweets make it in one of the songs, or just kidding?
All your tweets made it in the songs. But
jeez.
But no, it's just it's not even about me being like it's not even about being political. It's just about treating people with respect, just like,
yeah. Well, humanity is not political necessarily, and as soon as you lose the humanity in that, like, I don't understand the thought processes of some people.
Right.
And I'm not like trying to like cast like tons and tons of shame on them personally, but like, God, have a little empathy, have a
Yes.
little dignity and respect for the people who are just like you, that are dealing with stuff themselves, just like you. I don't understand people.
No,
Um,
and that's
yeah.
been so frustrating, man, because it's like it's one of those things where it's just you know, I have some friends that, you know, definitely have certain points of views, but like when we cut to the core of it, dude, they're all into the same stuff that I'm into, and so why don't we make our friendship about that instead of like, you know, I mean, yeah, you can have your opinion and whatnot, but like, I don't know, it's a sticky subject to tread through, but it's just something that kind of, I don't know, there's a number of songs about the hypocrisy of modern Christianity on the new record, so I'm definitely excited to see how some people react to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's unfortunately a well that will never run dry. You can always go back to that writing well, the
Oh yeah.
hypocrisy of the modern church.
Yeah, and it's funny because it's like I know some people get mad and they're just kind of like, oh well, you know, like I don't know. It's just it's weird, dude. I have like a lot of like I grew up in the church and stuff too, and you know, and you know, I definitely have ideas as to like where we should go. I'm not saying that I'm correct, but I'm just kind of like, hey, at the very least, like, hey, if you know, you wouldn't go up to somebody like that you didn't know and just randomly be like, hey, your haircut sucks. Like, this is what you need to do to fix it, or you need to lose probably about 100 pounds. And
Jesus.
it's just like
Yeah.
to a random person, you know what I mean? So why would you go up to them and just say like, "Hey, you're doing this wrong"? Like, it's, and I feel like a lot of times people use the excuse of like, "Well, I'm doing it out of love," and there's one of the songs that on our record where it's called "Rusted Crown," and you know the lyrics go, you know, "Don't you dare say it's love," because it's not.
Mm.
It's not love. It's like this. You're wearing a crown that you've placed on your own fucking head, and yeah. So anyway, sorry, I like brought the mood down. Like,
No, dude, this is good stuff, man. This is exactly what we should be talking about. It's not
word.
all jokes on here. Come on now.
So
Poorly worded jokes, I should say. Yeah.
yeah,
Attempts at jokes.
yeah.
Attempts.
Um, but yeah, and then there's a song on actually it's the very first song, kind of like on Fury by Failure. It's the very first song on the record is a direct sequel to Empire, the first song off of our first record.
Oh.
Uh,
Nice.
yeah, so it's called Hellscape, and it's kind of like building off of what the first, you know, what Empire talked about, which is like, you know, this digital age that we live in, and you know, we're, you know, attached to our phones, and you know, we can't really, and this is, you know, even pre, you know, I wrote those lyrics in late 2018, early 2019, so it was pre all that era. You know what I'm saying? Like, um, and
Mhm.
and so now it's just kind of like, okay, well, everything that has happened the last few years is like, okay, so it's just kind of like picking up where that left off from, and how we've kind of used that technology to definitely not better ourselves. So, yeah.
Yeah. Interesting that you're saying that as a guy who works at Google, you know?
Yeah, I mean, like to me, the way I look at it is I see the power of technology and whatnot, and I'm just kind of like, there's a lot of good stuff that we could be doing, and
Mhm.
you know, but we basically squandered it, I think, you know, and I like, for example, I don't envy kids that grow up this day and age. When we were growing up, like if you were to get bullied, you know, like in middle school or something, at least there was some sort of respite when you got home, you know.
Yeah.
Uh, but now it's like with technology, you can't get away from it. You just can't. And I feel so bad because it's like, dude, you can't even have your own. I don't know what the kids are on these days, TikTok or whatever, but like, you know, you're surrounded by just shit, just slamming you digitally over the head consistently. And and I'm just like, well, that's a grand misuse of technology there, but that's just my opinion.
Yeah.
Do you guys remember kind of along those lines? Do you guys remember getting the like internet safety conversations when you were in like, I don't know, middle school or high school or whatever? I remember these all the time, and it was all about like avoiding both like internet bullying, like that seemed to be like a big like topic of conversation, but also like how to be safe online, and like how to make sure that you're not like giving out your address or whatever, or like any identifying markers so that like some creep could follow you home or whatever, like
Yeah.
that always seemed to be like a big topic of conversation. And it's like that at this point, that's like the least of our concerns. Like the biggest concerns is like just the garbage that
Yeah.
people like constantly are getting, and how it's like making them feel like shit. And why you see like so many kids now like dying of suicide at such young ages, is because like it's just like the content itself is like the what's not really as concerning. Well, maybe I'm sure there's still like internet bullying going on, but like that's like the least of the concerns. And certainly the least of the concerns is like predators, internet predators. It's like just literally like the garbage that people are constantly consuming all day long.
Oh, absolutely. And that's part of the reason why excuse me. That's part of the reason why I really, really enjoyed and I think it was a little bit ahead of its time, but The Great Depression by Blindside,
Oh
because
yeah.
Yeah.
the
Definitely. Way ahead of its time.
yeah, because the opening track is just Christian basically calling this out, in other words. And I remember just reading some interviews, he was like, isn't it kind of crazy that like, because he went apparently like during leading up to recording and writing The Great Depression, he went to South Africa, and
Mm-hmm.
during his experience there, he was like, and when he got back home, he was like, it's crazy that people in the West are dying because of suicide and stuff like that, and then the people in the East are dying too, but of completely different reasons. And malnutrition, starvation, and it's like, geez, what are we, you know, it's what are we doing to ourselves in that regard? And I really, I think with How the Beautiful Decay, I try to be I guess a little bit more. I, I guess just I guess the goal is always to be more honest, and it's usually just like me getting in the way of myself when writing lyrics. It's like, is this going to be too honest, or is this going to be too on the nose? You know what I mean? Am I going to piss people off? I mean, that's something that we talked about in the studio. And um and I remember Bo, the first time we did that song Burn Scar, and he's like, dude, that lyric is sick. Hypocrisy in the shape of a cross. Like he was so about that part. And he was like, and I was like, why do you like it so much? He's like, because it makes you think,
Mm.
and it's either going to piss people off, or people, or the folks that really want to break it down, they will. And
Mm.
and I'm hoping that that's just some sort of invitation to kind of like pulling a MXPX quote here, but an invitation to understanding, you know. And I think that's kind of it's kind of funny because Mike probably wrote that when he was like in his 20s, but to me it's such a profound statement. And I don't know, man. I That's just kind of like a lot of what How the Beautiful Decay is about, is that. And then there's still stuff about myself crying about like how I feel like shit, but so
Hey,
Do you have any
there's
lyrics
a
about
there's
chick
a,
magnets or by any chance? Or
Chick Mag. Actually, there is one we do. On the first record we had, kind of like our two ballads or whatever, and there is one ballad on this record too, and that was all I could muster up. And then I told Grayson to go away because I was like, I don't want to talk about love anymore.
Hey, speaking of chick magnets, is Grayson's hair even longer now?
Yes, probably. We should probably hit up his fiance and ask. She'd probably let us know. You know, she's probably
Dang, he's got a fiance, huh?
Yeah, dude, he got nailed down. So
Dang.
he's gonna be tying the knot later this year. So
Oh, good for him. Good for him.
She's not gonna make him cut the hair before the wedding, because
No,
Cullen had to do that for his wedding.
Word?
I didn't have to. Well, I had a mullet beforehand, so that's a little different.
That's like the perfect time to have a mullet, though.
Yes,
like
that's what I thought too when I was
You know what I
19.
mean? You know, what is it like? This is the fun party in the back. I mean, like, dude. So
Yeah.
But no,
Yeah.
Grayson still has that Nick Hippa kind of thing going on. You know, Nick Hippa from As I Lay Dying. So
Yeah.
Does anybody have the other guy from As I Lay Dying's vibe going on?
Tim Lambesis?
Yeah.
Any of those Tim vibes going on?
Joe's got some pretty interesting contacts in his phone, I bet. Probably contacts that could disappear someone for you.
Oh man. Yeah, you know. Well, I mean, I do. I mean,
I hope you have a good lawyer.
I do have my cousins from El Barrio, so you know, we'll see what's up. But
are they twins like in Breaking Bad?
Oh no.
Just yielding an axe.
No, but they still. I mean, I remember when I met one of them. He didn't know, like, he was like a brand new dude that I just met, and they were like, "Yeah, this is your cousin." I didn't know until afterwards, but he had like these tattoos, and I thought they were very interesting. And I was only like 11 or something, and we're hanging out, and at church of all places, they made him go to church, I guess, and I could just see his hand tattoos, and I'm like, "Hey man, what does that mean?" And he's all like, "Calm down, fool. You don't need to know." And I was like. Scared, dude. I was just like, I was like, damn. Okay, like, yeah, I'm not going back.
I'm out.
So, yeah, carnal, you know. So,
who could make him go to church?
His mom, probably.
Mom. Yeah, dude. You do not mess with Latin moms. Let me tell you. Let me tell you what, man.
Latin mom's like, I'll put you in a grave.
Yeah.
Isn't there like that classic like Hispanic mom thing where you like she takes off her like sandal and is like gonna beat your ass with it?
Yeah, dude. That thing's like a boomerang, dude. Like, yeah. Like,
what'd you call it?
Chancla.
A chancla, that's right.
Yeah, dude.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I'm so glad I know that now.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's just kind of, you know, yeah, but I mean, if you're Latino and you know what the chancla is and the wrath of it, you know, it stings. So,
my brother's got the wooden spoon. That was their chancla.
I got that.
That's
too.
So Scandinavian.
Is that Scandinavian?
I don't know. It was. I thought it was focused on the family and.
Yeah, you know what?
Well,
yeah,
that'd be Scandinavian,
that
wouldn't it?
because I got that. Like, my mom was a huge fan of what's his name?
James Dobson.
Yeah, Dr. James Dobson. Huge fan. And
dude, you got like how are you still alive today? You not only had a Latino mom, but also James Dobson influencing her. Like,
dude, focus on the family stuff. Like, and I went to two churches on Sundays. You know, because I had extra.
Whoa.
I had to make sure my sins were completely cleansed in both languages. So,
right.
You know, like they wanted to make sure that they were just like, hey.
So you knew the swear words in Spanish and in English.
Claro que sí, you know. But no, it was.
Punta.
Yeah, exactly. No, I mean, and that was the thing. Was just like my background was pretty you know. Religious. I mean, my grandmother, my step grandmother was like super hardcore and you know, like speaking in tongues and all that stuff. Like she would start praying and I would always get scared because whenever we would say prayer before dinner, what she would do when she went into her praying fit, should I say, she would just start crying, bro.
That's a good word for it.
No, like crying.
Yeah.
Like, and I was just like, oh man, this woman better not pray before dinner, dude, because I'm trying to eat. Like we're gonna be here.
We're gonna be starving tonight.
Yeah, be eating my own tears. Like like it's just no, it was brutal. Like back then, I mean, yeah, and we grew up in a very. I mean, that's what I was surrounded by. And growing up, I mean, my mom and my stepdad, they were a little bit more, I guess, flexible with I guess American culture and me being first generation here, but I was definitely surrounded by that stuff. Made like at least a monthly trip to the Christian bookstore, and
Nice.
yeah. So I don't even know those exist anymore.
Lifelight
Oh,
doesn't
they
have
do.
any physical stores.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think there's still like an online
Come
store.
to you mean Lifeway? Yeah. Come to the Midwest. You'll find them all over the place still.
But yeah, the little mom and pop ones.
Oh,
Mhm.
okay, got it.
Yeah, there's one in Sioux Falls, which is close to here. It's called Crossroads, and it's huge.
Oh, wow. Okay, so they still exist. Wow. I actually have a funny
Yeah.
story about one of the Dakotas. Well, it's not that funny, but it was an interesting.
Well, it's here.
Yeah.
Which Dakota though? Do you know, north or south?
Yeah, everyone says the Dakotas. That pisses me off as a South Dakotan.
Oh
Tell you
man.
what.
Okay, well, so since you're South Dakota, we'll just say it's in North Dakota. Stop.
Okay, it's one of those stories. All right, let's hear it.
The worst Dakota. All right.
Worst
Well, yeah, let's
Dakota.
hear it.
No, it was pretty wild. Like we went out on a tour with Spirit Breaker, a couple of years back, and um your your boys and Lightworker were definitely the most ethnically diverse band on the Solid State roster. And I'm very proud of that. Like and so we get into this little town in we're stopping by to get some food, and we walk in.
Was the town called Leith, North Dakota?
No, I can't remember what it
Oh
was,
man.
but we walk.
Well, I'll give you a story about Leith later.
Oh, okay.
But
We walk in, and it's definitely a very well populated white folk place, and
Yep.
and we just walk in.
That could be either one of the Dakotas.
it could be, yes.
But what was hilarious was, I mean, it almost sounds like a bar joke. It's just like you got a Mexican, a Salvadoran, and an Asian walk into a cafe. But we walk in, and we had like one, we had Ryan, our drummer, who's a white dude, but like the two white dudes were covered in tattoos,
Yeah.
And so we walk in, and everybody, you could hear it from outside. Everybody's like having a good time talking, and then we walk in, and it just zoom, silence.
Yeah.
And we're just like, yo, what's going on, dude?
It's like when Pee Wee Herman walks into that biker bar.
Yeah. It was brutal. So we walked in, and then we ate as quickly as possible, and then we just dipped because we didn't want people to feel uncomfortable.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it was the weirdest thing. I was just like, wow, okay. And
you know what? That might have been Leith, North Dakota.
That sounds
Leith,
like
North
it.
Dakota was. Do you know about it, Mason? Have
Yeah,
I told
that's
you
like
about
the
this?
Christian nationalist one, right?
Well, it's the
Or no,
Nazi,
the Nazi one.
neo-Nazi
Yeah.
one. Yeah. So there was this tiny little town in western North Dakota that
Like the whole town was up for sale, right?
yeah, like well, not the whole town. It started off with a couple houses or whatever, and then this one dude bought both the houses, and then the rest of the town kind of like started getting bought up by this guy, and no one knew who he was or anything like that. Some people had met him, but he was like really kind of like reclusive and stuff. And then all of a sudden, like a busload of people start moving into these houses.
mm-hmm.
Turns out they were like all neo-Nazis, and then they started like patrolling the streets of this little town with AKs and stuff, and they are like straight up like holding this entire town hostage. And it like turned into like this big like standoff and everything, and it's just absolutely wild. And it became like an instance of domestic terrorism and everything like that. I can't believe it's not more well known.
Was
like,
this
the
also
zeitgeist.
in January? I feel like that's like they love January.
It might have been which doesn't make sense because it's just ungodly cold in January. But yeah, usually, I mean, you think about like Cannonball with like the pipeline issue and stuff like that happened in in North Dakota with Native American tribes, like
Yeah,
protecting their land and stuff like that. And that also happened in January. So yeah,
the
maybe
whole
it
the whole
did.
Texas thing in the border this earlier this year, that was also in
Yeah.
January. Like a
Yeah.
whole
What is it with
yeah,
January and like La
dude.
Revolution?
I don't know, but my friend pointed that out to me, and I was like, dang, dude. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna watch. It's like I guess maybe after the holidays, they're just kind of like all riled up for some weird reason.
Too many carbs.
Yeah, something.
They have a terrible gut flora or gut biome going on.
You know what? That's very well could be the the case.
Yeah, they can't wait
They
till
got to get on
May
that.
when it's nice in the northern hemisphere.
Yes.
They got to get on that Joe Rogan heat shock therapy or whatever they call it.
Oh yeah, exactly. Well, they're probably doing the ice dips, so they're used to it. So they're just kind of like, all right, like that's like a layer of protection somehow. I don't know, man. But
yeah,
a lot of that stuff, to be honest with you, kind of fascinates me. Like in a very like, I'm terrified of it, and I'm like, and it's terrible, but I'm just like, wow, like people actually, think that way. It's wild. So, but yeah.
yeah. No, I agree. I think it is a wild situation. Usually when bands have a story about the Dakotas, I'll use your word. They it's almost always like, oh, they flipped their van, or someone stole something out of, or stole all the stuff out of their van, or oh, we had an accident, or this, that, or the other thing. It never is like to like play a show or to have like a cool story or anything like that. It's always like, here's this terrible tragedy that happened to us, and it happened in South Dakota or happened in North Dakota.
Oh man, yeah. I mean, well, hey, isn't like Jeremy from Earthgrounds from around there?
He literally lives like
He
15 minutes from
lives,
Cullen.
yeah.
Oh wow, yeah. We actually we crashed at his place.
Dude, that's a cool
you
cool
crashed
place,
at his
yeah.
neighbors.
You should have let me know.
Oh wow, I didn't know. Oh well, shoot, now I know.
Now you know. Are you guys coming back through again at some point, do you think?
Oh, dude. So I think that's probably one of the biggest differences between the Fury by Failure era and this era is we're definitely trying to hit the road more.
Good.
So
Good.
yeah, I mean,
Gotta do it before Grayson gets married.
well, to be honest with you, he's he does what he joins us when he can, but we're definitely just gonna be probably touring mainly as a 4-piece, kind of like a Fit for a King kind of dealy,
Sure. Sure.
So that's kind of like the path that we're headed. But he will definitely be playing shows as frequently as possible. So
Heck yeah, dude. I love it.
So I know you guys are doing the West Coast stuff soon, but
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, it sounds like there are at least maybe potential plans or at least hopes for getting around the rest of the United States.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's I guess what I can say about that is it's all in the works.
Great.
It's something that we really want to do, and we can't wait to get out there, because we have been playing First Light actually for a while now live, and every time we've played that song, like folks, even though folks didn't know that song up until what was it, about a week ago, like when they heard
Yeah.
it live, uh, you know, th- they would just start doing the whole, I mean, going dummy, dude. And it's so satisfying, man. Like you just, I was talking to somebody else about this earlier today. It's like metal and just heavy music in general, I think is very blessed in the sense of like you get direct feedback from how much your audience is clobbering each other. Whereas opposed to like, if you go to 1975 or something like that, or Jimmy Eat World, like you kind of don't know unless
Yeah.
if like, especially if you're a younger band, if like you kind of don't know if they're into you or if they're just kind of waiting for the next band, because either they're usually pretty straight laced, like I remember Thrice saying when they started to shift their sound to like during the Beggars era, they were like, yeah, we couldn't tell if people liked their music or not because we're so used to people just like pummeling each other. But we're just like, oh, okay, this is just how it is now. When you play a song like Red Sky, you're not going to have people, bashing into each other. And, but, like heavy music, there's something very validating when you're watching the crowd and you just see people just killing each other. It's awesome.
We love that too. Joe, you ready for? Well, we're gonna do a little kind of both. We're gonna do a list of bands that on paper you shouldn't like, but you
Mhm.
do like, and then on the inverse, a list of bands that you don't like, but you should like on paper.
Yes, yes, yes. Yes. Alrighty. So I guess so. Which ones do you guys want first?
Whatever one
You
you
can
want to
do
go
either
with
or.
first, but yeah, let's go with bands that you do like, but you shouldn't like.
Okay. Yeah. 1975 definitely being one of them.
You've
Uh
mentioned them a few times. I'm like, you're not just like pulling their name out of your ass. Like, you definitely listen to this band if you're mentioning them as much as you are.
oh dude, I love that band. Like I think they write really good pop music, with actual instruments and the yeah, I just think they're great. They're really catchy. Um
Yeah.
and it's kind of crazy to me that just from their debut they were already selling out arenas and stuff like that because the music was just that good you know um, and I really admire their work ethic because up until the most recent album every album had at least like 14 songs or more. So like
That's some output.
yeah, exactly. So it's just kind of like whoa, okay. So I would say that's definitely one. um, Another one I would say is trying to looking through my old list here. Um hmm that was like the first one I thought of. Uh oh, Cali Uchis would be another one. Uh
Kelly, what?
Cali Cali what? Uh, Cali Uchis. She's an R&B singer, a Latina
Okay.
R&B singer. She sings in English and in Spanish.
How do you
Um
spell her name?
Kali, and then Uchis is
Oh,
Uchis.
I see her now. Okay.
Yeah, and if you get her, not her latest album, her output is pretty incredible too. But if you guys put on Red Moon and Venus, A, that's the record, and B, if you put that record on a date or something, just trust me.
Okay.
Is it like
That'll.
I'll
is
leave it
it
at
like
that.
a aphrodisiac?
Oh yeah, yeah, dude.
So if I have some dark chocolate, it's like it's done. It's gonna
Oh,
happen. Is that what you're trying to say?
yeah, it's
The
it's over.
floodgates have been opened.
Yeah,
Are you speaking from experience here, Joe? Is that what's going on?
I'm a good Christian boy.
All right, good.
So, anyway, next band or artist. Furiously scrolling through here. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, is that what
Yeah,
that
just
was?
one more from this category, and then we'll do the inverse.
Okay. Yeah. I would say, yeah, on paper. I'm trying to think of and hopefully they don't view this as a dig, just because I love them dearly. But my boys in For All Eternity.
Oh, okay.
I don't typically like I guess, kind of Warped Tour metal kind of stuff,
Mhm.
like but I just thought that the way they went about it was just really, really well crafted, and they're just good Australian boys. Love them. So,
Gotta love them Aussies, eh?
yeah, oh, absolutely. They're such a good time, and I really hope that they come back and write another record. Because I think their latest one was just it was also pretty ridiculously heavy,
Mm.
um and just filled with a lot of emotion, and I was just very, very, yeah, that was a really, really good record. So But yeah, that's kind of because like I said, that one probably surprised some people. But yeah.
Yeah, I think it surprised me. I'll tell you that much.
And then ones that that you would think that I would like, but I
but
don't.
don't. So, for example, I use this example quite a bit. I love Me Without You and like Touche Amore, those kind of bands where it's sort of like spoken wordish kind of
Hmm.
music, but very indie and post hardcore. I, for whatever reason, cannot get into Law Dispute. I don't
Same.
know why it is. I just can't get into it. Like, on paper, if you see like, fans also like on Spotify or whatever, you always would see Law Dispute under, Me Without You or Touche Amore. But for whatever reason, I just can't get into Law Dispute. So that would be a band that on paper, I should like that band. But for whatever reason, I just can't get into them.
That's because you need to listen to La Dispute.
La Dispute. Um,
That's the Pitchfork writer saying that.
I like that. No, honestly, and I'll give three more, but that's actually a very big one for me because I really dig Me Without You and Touche Amore. I dig, but yeah, I would say the first one right off the bat, when is Death Cab for Cutie.
Oh,
Uh,
really?
Mm,
yeah, I do not like them.
like not a single song.
I like one song,
Which song is it?
New Year.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
okay.
But no, I just because like everybody's like, well, dude, you love Jimmy Eat World. I'm like, yeah, because Jim can sing. So,
So do you have the same sentiments about like Postal Service?
oh, if I'm gonna listen to more electronic stuff, it's definitely gonna be more in the kind of like I guess 9 Inch Nails kind of realm.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah, so like
Okay.
I just dark, twisted
I thought you were gonna say Knife Party or something like that.
knife part. Oh, isn't that a Deftones song too?
Oh, probably.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm not a Deftones fan. Deftones is one of those bands you were the one talking about how you don't like new metal. Deftones is one of those bands that on paper I should like, but I don't.
So okay, I will say that yeah, their early stuff is definitely new metalish, but after White Pony, they kind of just did their own thing.
Yeah. It is their own thing at that point.
Yeah, but
I agree.
anyway, yeah, Death Cab. I just the singer Ben something
Ben
like
Gibbard.
yeah Ben.
Yeah,
I
Ben
was gonna
Gibbard.
say Gibbons, but then I was like, oh no, that's the dude from
That's a
Top.
monkey.
Yeah, um, but yeah, he I don't know, like I mean, he seems like a nice guy, and like, and the music is cool. I mean, sometimes, but I don't know, I just can't get into him, dude.
Yeah.
Another
Well, you're
band.
forgiven.
This time.
Yeah, this time, yes. Let's see here. Another band or group that can't get into. I feel like Brand New.
Oh, I get that. I feel that. I totally feel
I could
that.
totally
I'm
understand that. Yep.
exactly the same way.
Yeah, just I'm just kind of like, nah, dude. I just
Nah, dude.
no, like I can't do it. Uh, not only that, I think it's a weird.
Can you do that again? Can you do that again?
That one song.
Yeah, you need to put that on the next record.
Let's see here. Who else? Another band on. I feel like I'm close to thinking of this. Shoot, I like. There's definitely been some bands where people are like, "You don't like that band," and I'm just kind of like, "Nah, dude." Definitely like a good handful of them. I'm trying to think of like headliners because they're usually like a headline.
Yeah, usually it is a headliner, right?
Yeah, it's like you.
You should call out one of your friends' bands.
Oh no.
No, that makes it fun. That makes it fun.
No, I actually we've been very fortunate to tour with bands that I genuinely enjoy their music, especially I would say like whenever we hit the road with Fall Star, Undertaking, and the Ongoing Concept, like those are our dudes.
You don't have to lie about the Undertaking. We know you don't like their music. No one does.
No, they're great, and I really um, I'm looking forward to their new stuff. I know I saw that they've been posting some Instagram stories, recording some new stuff, and I'm just like,
It's so cool.
yeah, it sounds great. And not only that, they're just one of the best live bands out there right now. And if you're not listening to them, then you're fucking up. So, especially if you like kind of more of that noisecore, mathcore stuff, like
Yeah.
it's like, don't be an idiot. Like, check that band out, and you won't regret it. Um, but as far as
We just need one more, right?
yeah, I just need one more. Oh man, I'm trying to think of like, it's usually in the extreme metal realm too, where I'm just kind of like, oh, here's a good one, Tool.
I was waiting for it.
Yeah,
Tool? You don't like Tool?
Why would you like Tool?
No.
No,
Oh.
I can't do it. I can't do it, man.
Okay, so here's the question then. Is it
Mhm.
because of the name?
Mm-mm.
No, it's because of the fans probably like Cullen.
No?
No, it's actually
Well,
because
no,
of their
the
singer.
fans suck too. That's my biggest trouble. You don't like Maynard? Maynard, I think he's awesome.
Oh, dude, no, he's like, it was funny because Grayson and I were hanging out a few weeks ago, and we're just talking about like what would be a cool song to cover in the future that maybe is like kind of like on the softer side. And so we were like going back and forth a couple songs, and he was like, "Hey, pull up this a Perfect Circle song." I'm like, "No," and he's like, "Dude,
Yeah.
just do it." And I was like, "Okay." And then he pulled up the song, and it was actually, I will say, it was pretty cool. It was pretty cool. I forget what the name of the song was, but like, but I was like, "All right, this is pretty cool." But I just think I don't know. I will say I did like Maynard's guest vocals on that one Deftones song, Passenger. And but I don't know. I don't know, he seems like a real he gives a lot of what's that one guy?
Pretentious prick vibes?
Yeah.
Because he
Yeah,
is.
yeah.
He
Yeah,
definitely
he is. But he reminds me particularly of this one guy who shoot, what's his name? He always has that smug look on his little face too.
It's a little person?
No, he's not. No. 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 What's his name? It's that guy. He's very critical of religion. I mean, yeah, and
Dawkins?
Fat Mike.
Fat Mike. No, it's not Dawkins. It's not Richard
Hitchens?
Dawkins. No, not Hitchens. He's not.
Jordan
He's a
Peterson?
little bit younger.
No,
What was
that's
not Jordan
he's not.
Peterson? No, but we're getting warmer. Man, what's his freaking name?
Sam Harris?
Yes, Sam Harris. Yeah, every time I
could
see
totally
him,
feel that. I 100% feel that.
I could see that little curl up on his lips, like that little smile, especially when he knows he's saying something controversial. And I'm
or when he thinks he's really smart with what he's saying.
Yeah, and I'm just kind of like,
just gives you the cringe.
Yeah, and that's what I get from Mr. Maynard.
the way he talks about his own band drives me up a wall. Because he doesn't like write any of the music. And there's this one interview I heard him where he's like, yeah, we would have released a record 5 years ago if the band would have made some music. It's like, wow. Oh my God, dude. Okay.
Dude, yeah. So, but yeah, so I guess it's Tool, Death Cab, and I forget who else I said.
Was it Law Dispute?
That
Or
was
is there
it.
another?
I get. Oh,
Brand new.
Brand new. Yeah. So I guess there's 4 there. So, but yeah, no bueno.
That's a good list.
That is honestly a solid list. Most of which Mason and I agree with.
Yeah.
Which is good.
Oh, really?
Okay. That brand new one, I was like, oh, as soon as you said it, I'm like, oh, that 100% is exactly where I feel. Where like all of my friends that like a lot of the same music love brand new, and I would have grown up at the time when brand new was big, and for whatever reason, I just never got into them, and still to this day can't get into them.
Yeah, no, it's just I don't know what it is. Oh, I need another band. I need to add another band for the other list real quick. One that's on paper that I probably shouldn't like, but I love the fuck out of is a band called Cannons.
Okay.
They're Cannons. Yeah, they're like a Southern California pop rock trio, and it's just a vibe, man. Like I just really enjoy their music. They have a lot of I'm really big into like Motown and soul, and they definitely add that in there, and they do it very tastefully. And
Beautiful.
yeah, it's awesome.
That
It's
sounds
perfect
like
for
something I would
cruising.
dig. I dig that.
Yeah, dude. Just like warm spring night, put that on, dude. So good.
Love that. A warm spring night around here is like 35 degrees. So,
Oh
It's
shit,
might
t-shirt
have to
weather.
wait.
dude. So when we were touring through there a couple of years ago, I mean, I know this is kind of like the Midwest is like, when does it get warm?
It gets really hot usually by like the second week
July.
of June. And then by July, you're hitting like mid 90s pretty much the entire time.
And when does it start cooling down?
End of September, beginning of October-ish.
Wow. Yeah, see, I'm just spoiled by California, so I'm just like fascinated with that. Dude. Like I'm just kind of because when we were touring through like the Midwest in May, and there was like still a ton of snow on the ground, and we were just like, bro, I thought by May for sure it would at least be like 60 degrees or something. But
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, like, you could get a day in May, at least in South Dakota and like the Midwest in general, where it's 70 degrees, and then the next day it snows 6 inches. That's very something that could totally
very,
happen.
very common. Yeah.
wow, no, that I'm like genuinely fascinated by that stuff. Like I'm definitely like the David Attenborough kind of dude. I can watch those documentaries forever, dude.
They're great. They're great.
Yeah. So
Do
No,
you
the
have
thing I
a
love about the Midwest is like in a calendar year, you could get 120-degree, 130-degree difference between, you could have a day in the summer
more
where it's
than
over 100 degrees and then a day in the winter that's like negative 30 or
negative
something.
40? Yeah.
Yeah.
jeez, wow, that's
Mhm.
pretty, that's brutal.
Especially these last couple of years, this last year, and we're not here to talk about weather, but this last year was nuts. So not this year, but last year, uh, we had 2 weeks straight in my home place here where it was over 102 degrees or in July, and then that same year we had a week straight where it was negative 25 before wind chill. After wind chill, we had like a number of days in there where it was like negative 50,
Yeah.
negative 60. It was
Dude,
so cold.
Yeah.
wow. Well, I got to pick your brain more about that offline because I'm just like fascinated by that.
Yeah, it's a blast.
It's good
You
times.
never know what it's going to throw at you. I love it.
Joe, thank you so much for chatting about the new album. We're really stoked about it. It very well could be an album that one of, whether it's Cullen or I, but it could be certainly in our top 5 for the year. So we're super stoked about it. Can't wait to see you guys out on the road. And yeah, we're just really looking forward to it.
Fuck yeah. Well, dudes, it's always good to talk to you guys, and hope to see you guys at a show.
Much love.